A unique situation we have here. The board of directors are looking at recruiting in order to protect that 50% plus membership on the board being people with disabilities. But at the same time, they're looking at somebody with some influence in the community that can certainly assist the center in other ways. Lilibeth, how would you deal with this particular situation?
We're actually dealing with that now. On our board, we have met the more than 51% people with disabilities. But with this situation where the organization is also facing budget problems, I think it's important to have a balance and to have the financial talents on the board. Although it's not clear in this scenario what the situation of this board is, I would opt for taking both of them. I like the notion that Elizabeth, fills the diversity need, but also that Eric brings with him the financial clout. I think we have in this situation to think of what's best for the community, for the long-term vision of the board. But if it were to come down to the wire, if Elizabeth, of course, fills both, then I would go for Elizabeth.
So you would also look at the option of expanding the board through a bylaws change?
Well, I don't know that I would have to go there necessarily. Again, it would depend on what the situation is, but if by a bylaws change you can expand, give the board more options, yes, I would.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff, how would you deal with a situation if you're looking at the fact of possibly losing consumer control in a board of directors when one of the better candidates is somebody who has influence in the community?
Well, I guess I looked at that scenario a little differently, to be honest. When I was watching it and trying to interpret it, my assumption was that the 51% consumer control had already been met, and that two individuals were now coming to the board, one with a disability, one without. They talked about equally qualified. Now, I think that this issue falls right at the heart of philosophy of independent living, in that, are we putting people on our board just because they have a disability? Or are we putting people on our board who have a disability and represent what we believe is independent living? Because that was something that was left out of that discussion. I believe that there is a place within independent living for people who don't have disabilities if they believe in the mission, if and when we come back to that 51% question.
But in the scenario, they talk about the fact of the one individual having influence in the community and the other one being a representative of an underserved or an unserved population in the community. How would you weigh the two as far as importance for a board to pursue?
Well, Lilibeth hit that nail right on the head when she said that she was unaware from the scenario what the financial situation was being faced by that board at that time. And if there was a fiscal crisis and you did have an individual who was able to assist you to climb out of that financial problem in a manner consistent with our beliefs of, I don't know how to articulate it, fundraise in a manner consistent with independent living, well, that would weigh heavily in that person's favor. But I didn't hear anything said about the other candidate that said they weren't able to do a similar thing.
Thank you very much. In the independent living philosophy, consumer control is very important, but as it comes to the board of directors, it's obvious that there are other things to consider, and the consideration is now yours.